everyone, and welcome to this Blender tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be using the latest version of Blender 2.8. So if my screen does not look like yours, go down to blender.org and download the latest version of Blender 2.8. For this tutorial, I will be showing you how to properly use keyframes and maybe do a little bit of extra things. Well, anyway, first, let's go into this camera icon right here. Click this. We will be using the Eevee render engine. Turn on ambient occlusion, subsurface scattering, screen space reflections, and volumetrics. Now what you want to do is click over here and raise this on the Z-axis. Press Shift A and put in a plane. Press S to scale it out and move your mouse outward. Or what you could do, let me just Control Z this real quick. You could just press S8 and that'll scale to 8 by 8 meters. Now for the cube, what you want to do is just to start moving the cube a little. Is you want to maybe bring it back on the X-axis. Press I, location, rotation, scale. That'll apply the location, rotation, and scaling of the cube in that position. As you can see, if we raise this bar up a little, you can see we have our keyframes here. If you put it, let's just say a frame 100, and then move it over a little, and press Insert, Location, Rotation, Scale, then if you go back and play it, as you can see, the cube moves from that direction over here. And we just applied 3 keyframes, location, rotation, scaling on it. As you can see, if we scale it up or any bigger or anything, it doesn't really work, because since we applied all 3 on it. But if you press Shift A, and I got something like a UV sphere right here, and I applied only location on it, and let's just say put on right here. And I did that, and I inserted a location keyframe. If I sized it even larger, it would still work since I didn't apply those other keyframes onto it. So you don't need to always apply this. It always depends. And for this, if you want to lock the camera into place to look at your scene, let's just say we have this flying cube right here. You press Control Alt 0, and you could click on your camera and move it around to fit your scene. Maybe like right there. See, now you have your camera. If you want your camera to become wider, you press maybe on your numpad 0, go down here to the camera settings, and bring the focal length down. What this will zoom out your view. I typically like to use around 30 millimeters, since it's a wide but not so wide camera angle, if you can understand that. There we go. And what we can do now is we can go back, maybe click this. Let's see, what was it again? Oh, never mind. Don't click that. Press Shift A and bring in another. Let's just try a UV sphere. Bring it up on the Z-axis. Go over here. Bring it on the Y-axis. We want to do for this, let's just say we want it falling in the background. We would want to go into the what's the tab in this? The not particles tab, the physics tab. And we want to do is apply a rigid body to it. It would be an active rigid body. Here you could play with the weight settings and all the deform settings and everything, but we're not really getting into that. We're just going to be simple for this tutorial now. We'll get into that maybe later on. When you want to click on the plane, give it a rigid body, and turn this to passive. Now this will be actively animated. That means it'll fall down and do just, whatever gravity does. 9.8 meters a second squared, falling down. Anyway, right here. So if we go into our scene, press 0, this is what it looks like. This is what's going to be rendered. Now that just felt like a brick. If you don't want that, you can maybe change the weight on it or mess around with some of the other settings. like right here, you can bring it to, I don't know, like 50 kilograms, 41.1 on it. And what you can do is take your mouse, click and hold on it, and then move your mouse side to side, and that'll actually just change the scaling of it, or the weight of the actual object. And you can see here, most likely just changed. See how it just bounced a little bit up and down and not as much? You can change about the surface response, like make it super bouncy. Right here. Click that. Should be a little bouncier. I don't really know if that's applying. But we'll see maybe in the final animation once that happens. With your lighting, right here, I would recommend that you probably click on the lighting. Maybe you bring it up. Go to lighting right here. Change this to an area. So you can get lots of, if you, actually, yeah, just turn that to an area lamp. Maybe turn this into a square, and press S, and you will, oh, don't press S, sorry. You want to size it up from here. And this will show how much light will be going on around the area. And the watts here controls the strength, and you can play with the color and everything. But I wouldn't really recommend that. It won't really look as good if you know a lot about the lighting. And we'll get into that into later videos. If you press Z and go into rendered view, it'll show you what the actual animation looks like. But I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a very, very powerful computer. I would just turn all of these off first, and maybe turn them back on if you want to go into render view. I'm not sure myself, because my computer is not really as powerful as I want it to be. But it's good enough for my purposes. Well, anyway, this is our animation so far. We have a cube going that way and a ball just falling straight. And you can also go into different things, like if you click on this cube, you can go into edit mode. And what this does is that you can control all the vertices. And you can just move them around and maybe morph the shape that you want. Maybe you want the cube to look like this. Who knows? Oh yeah, by the way, for people who are wondering that was just a simple Control-Z to just undo. We'll discuss edit mode maybe in also a later video, because that's a little bit more complex. I'll press tab to get it out of that. Well, anyway, here are their simple animation using keyframes. Just a simple cube going on. And for the render settings, what I recommend using is just this up here, don't touch that. If you want to raise the frame rate, it'll make it smoother, but it'll require more frames. From here, I would recommend changing this from PNG to FFmpeg video, then to RGB. For the encoding, for having the best encoding, I would recommend MPEG-4. That's basically just MP4 file. I can't speak today. For the output quality, change that to high. And all the rest of the settings you don't really want to play around with. I mean, you could, but that's my usual settings. That's what I use. But once you render that, it'll just turn it into all gray textures. You don't really want, if you don't want that, what you could do as an extra bonus is that you can put materials on it. Right now we're using the principled shader, and you can use nodes and all that, but that's a little bit complicated for this tutorial. For the base color, maybe you can change it to a nice blue, the cube if you want, subsurface, maybe like sort of transitioning into a purple. You can make it metallic, more rough, whatever you honestly want. Well, anyway, that's it for this video, people. That's it for this video, guys. See you in the next one.